I met Christy 7 years ago at a corporate networking event in Portland. She'd been recently divorced, navigating single motherhood with 8-year-old Maya, and I was drawn to her resilience. Our courtship was swift, dinners that stretched into late evenings, weekends at the coast, conversations that felt effortless. When I proposed after 10 months, it felt like the natural progression of something real. The first year of marriage was good. Better than good. I moved into her house in the suburbs, a 3-bedroom ranch with a backyard that needed work. I spent weekends fixing the fence, painting Maya's room the pale purple she wanted, learning to braid hair for school mornings when Christy had early shifts at the medical billing company where she worked part-time. Maya was shy at first, testing boundaries, asking questions about her real dad in ways that stung but felt age-appropriate. I was patient. I attended every parent-teacher conference, learned her favorite foods, helped with homework at the kitchen table while Christy worked late. Slowly, cautiously, she warmed to me. By year 2, we'd fallen into rhythms. Sunday morning pancakes. Movie nights on Fridays. I worked as a senior operations manager at TechBridge Solutions, a mid-sized software company downtown. The pay was solid, the hours manageable. I turned down promotions that would have required travel because I wanted to be present, because families needed consistency. But cracks appeared gradually, almost imperceptibly at first. Christy began mentioning Eric more often, Maya's biological father, who lived 3 states away in Denver with his new wife. He wants more time with her, she'd say. It's important for Maya to know both sides of her family. I agreed. Of course I did. I understood the complexity of blended families, the importance of maintaining those connections. But the visits became longer, the phone calls more frequent. And somewhere around year 4, Christy stopped introducing me as Maya's stepdad and started saying, "my husband," with a tone that suggested I occupied a separate category entirely. Last Christmas, we spent it alone, just the 3 of us. I cooked a turkey, set up the tree, wrapped presents I'd carefully selected. Maya was polite but distant, texting throughout dinner. Christy seemed distracted, checking her phone repeatedly. "Eric's family does this big thing in Vail," she mentioned casually over dessert. "His parents rent a whole lodge. Maybe next year Maya should go." "We could all go somewhere," I suggested. "Make it a tradition." Christy smiled vaguely. "Maybe. But I knew even then. I just didn't want to see it." 6 months ago, the international opportunity landed in my inbox. TechBridge's Australian partner firm, Nexus Digital in Melbourne, needed someone to lead a major infrastructure overhaul. 18-month contract, potential for permanent placement, significant salary increase, housing stipend, relocation package. My supervisor, Gary, called me into his office. "This is career-defining, Joel. Melbourne's our fastest-growing market. You'd be running the whole show." "I'd need to talk to my family," I said. "Of course. But don't wait too long. They want someone in place by year-end." That night, I brought it up over dinner. "Melbourne?" Christy said, fork paused halfway to her mouth. "That's Australia? It's an incredible opportunity," I explained. "Better pay, better position. We could make it an adventure." Maya didn't even look up from her phone. Christy set her fork down. "Maya's in high school. She has friends here. Her dad's in Denver. I can't just uproot her entire life. We'd be building a new life. Together." "Your life," Christy said quietly. "Not ours." I withdrew the idea immediately, sent Gary a polite decline. "Family comes first," I wrote. Gary was disappointed but understanding. "The offer stands if things change." I assumed that was it. A door closed. A sacrifice made for the people I loved. I didn't realize they'd already decided I was expendable. Mid-December. A Wednesday evening that felt indistinguishable from dozens before it. We were sitting across from each other at the kitchen table, plates half full of the pasta I'd made, the television murmuring something about weather patterns in the background. I was explaining an issue at work, something about a delayed software rollout, a vendor who'd missed deadlines, when Christy cut me off mid-sentence. "Maya and I are spending the holidays with Eric," she said casually, as if commenting on the forecast. I stopped talking. My fork hovered over my plate. "Spending how long?" "From the 23rd through the first week of January." I set my fork down carefully, the soft clink against porcelain suddenly loud. "So you're taking her to live with your ex-husband for nearly 3 weeks during Christmas?" Christy sighed. That particular sound of irritation, I'd learned, meant she'd already made up her mind and resented having to explain. "He isn't just my ex. He's her father. Her real one." The word real landed like a weight dropped from a height. I've been raising her for 6 years, I said quietly, keeping my voice steady. Christy laughed, and there was no kindness in it. You've been filling in. That's different. She needs time with her actual dad, not someone playing the role. Something in me clicked into place then. Not anger. Not sadness. Something colder and clearer. Recognition. It's only a couple of weeks, Christy continued, already moving on, reaching for her water glass. They're going skiing. His parents planned this big family Christmas up in Aspen. It's good for her. She needs this. And me? I asked. What am I supposed to do? Christy shrugged, already pulling out her phone, thumb scrolling. Whatever. You'll probably enjoy the quiet. You can catch up on work or whatever. Maya walked in just then, backpack slung low on one shoulder, white earbuds trailing down. 14, and already perfected at the art of ignoring me completely, looking through me rather than at me. Did you tell him? She asked her mother, not even glancing in my direction. Just did. Maya finally looked at me briefly, assessment quick and dismissive. Cool. Dad booked Aspen. His parents and his sister's family are coming. They rented this huge place with a hot tub and everything. That sounds nice, I said, forcing neutrality into my tone. She blinked, apparently surprised I wasn't arguing or objecting. Yeah, it'll be a real Christmas for once. For once. As if the past 6 years had been rehearsals. Placeholder holidays. Time spent waiting for authenticity to arrive. Christy was studying me now, clearly waiting for resistance. Maybe hoping for it. Maybe needing the fight to justify decisions already made. Okay, I said simply. Her eyebrows pulled together, confusion flickering across her features. That's it? Just okay. You've already decided. Well, yes, but I thought you'd be upset. Would that change anything? She opened her mouth, closed it. No, but people usually react when their family leaves them alone for the holidays. I am reacting, I said. I'm accepting it. She didn't like that answer. I could see it in how her jaw tightened, how her fingers gripped her phone a little harder. My calm didn't fit the narrative she'd prepared, the story she'd probably told herself about reasonable decisions and necessary boundaries. Later that evening, as she slammed dishes into the sink with more force than necessary, she snapped at me without turning around. You never fight for anything, Joel. You're too passive. Too accepting. I dried my hands on the kitchen towel, folded it precisely. Fight for what, exactly? You just told me I'm temporary. That I've been filling in for 6 years. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant, I said quietly. You just didn't expect me to hear it clearly. I went out to the garage and sat in my car with the engine off, hands resting on the steering wheel, staring at the cluttered shelves, boxes of holiday decorations I'd organized, tools I'd bought to fix things around the house, remnants of a life I'd built around other people's foundations. My phone was in my pocket. The email from Gary was still there, flagged and saved. I pulled it up, read it again in the dim garage light. The Melbourne position is still available if you're interested. We haven't found the right fit yet. Let me know. I typed a response, fingers steady. I'm interested. When do you need me? The reply came in 4 minutes. I'll start the paperwork tomorrow. Can you be ready to move by year-end? I stared at the message. Year-end was 2 weeks away. Yes, I wrote. The next morning, I woke before dawn and confirmed my acceptance formally. By 9 a.m., I was on a video call with Nexus Digital's HR director, a woman named Patricia who walked me through visa requirements, relocation logistics, housing options in Melbourne's business district. We'll need you here by December 28th, Patricia explained. I know that's tight, but we're behind schedule. I can make that work, I said. Excellent. I'll have our immigration specialist contact you directly. You should receive your visa approval within the week. We're expediting everything. By lunchtime, I had compiled lists. Documents to gather. Accounts to separate. Assets to divide. A lawyer to contact. My mind moved through logistics with mechanical efficiency, emotions set carefully aside. That evening, Christy was cheerful in a way that felt aggressive. Too bright. Talking rapidly about snow conditions in Aspen, the cabin Eric's parents had rented, the restaurants they'd try, how excited Maya was about skiing with her cousins. You're being weirdly calm about all this, she said, watching me over the rim of her wine glass. I'm just not arguing anymore, I replied. She smiled, visibly relieved. Good. I really didn't want this to be a whole big thing. At dinner, I barely spoke. They talked around me, Christy and Maya planning, discussing what clothes to pack, which ski equipment to rent, whether Maya needed new boots. I might as well have been furniture. A chair. A wall. Something permanent and unnoticed. That night, after they'd gone to bed, I started sorting my belongings. Documents first: birth certificate, passport, bank statements, tax returns. Then personal items. Books that had been mine before the marriage. Photographs from my childhood, my parents, my brother's wedding. Clothes I'd bought myself. 6 years of my life fit into fewer boxes than I expected. Most of what filled this house had been here before me, or had been purchased jointly, absorbed into our shared existence. Removing myself was simpler than I'd imagined. Over the next few days, I worked with surgical precision. I opened a new bank account and rerouted my direct deposit. I contacted a divorce attorney named Richard Pemberton, who specialized in clean separations. No children together? Richard confirmed during our consultation. She has a daughter from her previous marriage. I have no legal relationship to the child. That simplifies things considerably. And assets. The house is in her name. I want nothing from the marriage. Clean break. Richard paused, pen hovering over his legal pad. You're sure? You're entitled to. I want nothing that ties me back there, I said firmly. Draw up papers that make that clear. By the weekend, I'd withdrawn my portion of our joint savings, carefully legally, exactly what I'd contributed over 6 years. I closed connected accounts, rerouted bills, ensured nothing would bounce until after I'd left. I wasn't being cruel, just thorough. My visa approval came through on Monday. 48 hours later, I had a one-way ticket to Melbourne departing December 24th. The timing was almost poetic. The morning of December 23rd, I stood by the living room window and watched them load the car. Suitcases in the trunk. Ski bags strapped to the roof. Maya bouncing with excitement, already wearing her new winter jacket, the one I'd bought her 2 weeks ago when she mentioned the trip. She hadn't thanked me then. She didn't acknowledge it now. I watched her laugh at something on her phone, showing the screen to Christy, both of them giggling. They looked happy, excited, like they were escaping something rather than just going on vacation. Maybe they were. Maya was 14 now. I'd known her since she was 8. 6 years. More than a third of her life. I'd been there for her first day of middle school, holding the camera while Christy fussed with her hair. I'd taught her to ride a bike without training wheels in this very driveway, running alongside her until she found her balance, catching her when she fell. I'd sat through her school concerts, her parent-teacher conferences, her science fairs. I remembered the first time she'd called me by my name instead of avoiding calling me anything. Joel. Not Dad, never Dad, but my name felt like progress. I remembered her 12th birthday party, when one of her friends asked who I was and Maya had said, "That's Joel, he's my stepdad," without hesitation or embarrassment. I'd felt proud that day. Included. Like I'd finally earned my place. But somewhere between then and now, I'd lost it. Or maybe I'd never really had it. The past year, she'd grown distant. Conversations became shorter, eye contact rarer. She started comparing everything to when I visit Dad, or Dad says. Eric had remarried, had a nice house, a stable life in Denver. He sent child support checks reliably. He called every Sunday evening. He'd missed the hard years, the diapers and tantrums and sleepless nights, but he got the easier parts now. The fun parts. The skiing trips and nice dinners and guilt-free indulgence. And I got to be the one who enforced homework and bedtimes and chores. The one who was there but somehow invisible. Present but not acknowledged. A real Christmas for once. Those words kept echoing. I'd given her 6 Christmases. We'd had traditions, making gingerbread houses that always collapsed, watching Christmas movies while drinking hot chocolate, driving around the neighborhood to look at lights. I'd thought those mattered. I'd thought I mattered. But apparently those had been practice. Placeholders. Not real. Christy came back inside one last time, checking rooms, making sure nothing was forgotten. She moved through the house with the efficiency of someone running through a mental checklist, already half gone in her mind. She kissed my cheek on her way out, perfunctory and distracted. See you in January. Try not to work the whole time. Have a good trip, I said. We will. Love you. The words were automatic, reflexive. I didn't return them. She didn't seem to notice. I watched from the window as the car backed out of the driveway, Maya waving vaguely in my direction before returning her attention to her phone. Not a real wave. Just the gesture of one. Muscle memory of politeness. I wondered if she'd think about me at all while she was gone. If she'd remember I existed. Or if I'd simply fade from her mind the moment the plane took off, replaced by the excitement of her real family. The car disappeared around the corner, and I stood there longer than necessary, staring at the empty street. The truth was, losing Christy hurt. But losing Maya hurt more. With Christy, I could rationalize it. We were adults who'd made adult choices. Our relationship had cracks, had been fracturing for a while. I could see that now. The end was painful but explicable. But Maya? I'd loved that kid. Not because I had to, not out of obligation, but because she was funny and smart and weird in ways that made me laugh. I loved how she sang off-key in the shower. How she left books face down all over the house, marking her place. How she could recite entire comedy sketches from memory. How she'd occasionally, rarely, let her guard down and talk to me like I was someone worth talking to. I'd never tried to replace Eric. I'd never asked her to call me Dad. I'd just tried to be present, reliable, someone she could count on. And apparently that had made me nothing. Temporary. A substitute teacher filling in until the real one returned. The garage door felt heavier than usual as I pulled it down. Or maybe I was just tired. Tired of trying to earn something that should have been freely given. Tired of being measured against a ghost who got credit just for existing. I waited 5 full minutes inside, making sure they hadn't forgotten anything and wouldn't return unexpectedly. Then I walked to the kitchen table and placed an envelope there, perfectly centered, angled so it couldn't be missed. Inside, I'd kept my message brief and clear. Christy, I accepted the position in Melbourne. I'm leaving tomorrow, December 24th. The house is yours. The mortgage payment for this month is covered. After that, you'll need to handle it yourself. I've withdrawn my contributions from our joint accounts. Exactly what I put in, nothing more. My attorney will contact you regarding divorce proceedings. I'm not asking for anything. I want a clean break. This isn't anger. It's finality. You made it clear I was temporary, someone filling in until something more real came along. I'm choosing not to be temporary anymore. Joel. I left my house key on the counter beside the envelope. Took one last look around at the life I was leaving. Then I locked the door from the outside and walked to my car. My phone buzzed as I drove to Nathan's house for one final goodbye. A social media notification. Christy had posted a photo, Maya grinning in the airport, holding a coffee cup, caption reading, "Off to make real memories." I deleted the app. At my brother's house in Beaverton, Nathan opened the door and immediately pulled me into a hug. "You're really doing this?" he asked. "I already did it," I replied. We sat in his living room. His wife, Jennifer, brought coffee, squeezed my shoulder supportively. "Does she know?" Nathan asked. "She'll know tomorrow when she's already gone." Nathan exhaled slowly. "That's cold, man." Cold would have been leaving with no explanation. Cold would have been taking more than I'm entitled to. I'm being clear. "Fair enough," Nathan said. "When do you leave?" "Tomorrow afternoon. Christmas Eve." "Jesus." "Yeah." We talked for 2 hours. Nathan made me promise to stay in touch, to send pictures of Melbourne, to remember I still had family who gave a damn. "You deserve better than what she gave you," Jennifer said as I prepared to leave. "You know that, right?" "I'm starting to," I admitted. That night, I stayed in an airport hotel. My flight was at 2 p.m. the next day, Christmas Eve. The room was anonymous and clean. I ordered room service, watched a movie I didn't pay attention to, and slept surprisingly well. The flight was long. 15 hours of sitting, thinking, watching movies without seeing them. I didn't sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Maya's face when she'd said a real Christmas for once. I saw Christy's dismissive shrug. I saw 6 years of my life compressed into a single realization. I had been optional the entire time. Melbourne greeted me with summer heat. December 25th, Christmas Day, but it was 32 degrees Celsius and sunny. The cognitive dissonance helped. Everything was opposite here. Different. That felt appropriate. Patricia from Nexus Digital had arranged a serviced apartment in South Bank, temporary housing until I found something permanent. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Yarra River. Modern furniture that belonged to no one. A blank slate. I unpacked my single suitcase. Everything I owned now fit in one bag, and stood on the balcony, coffee in hand, watching the city wake up on Christmas morning. Families walked along the river. Couples pushed strollers. Life continued, indifferent to my upheaval. My phone rang. Nathan's name on the screen. "Merry Christmas," he said when I answered. "You too. How is it?" "Hot. Summer here." "That's so weird." A pause. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. And surprisingly, I meant it. "I think I am." "She called me," Nathan said carefully. "Christy. She found your letter." My grip on the coffee mug tightened. When? Yesterday. They got back early afternoon. She's not handling it well. That's not my problem anymore. No, Nathan agreed. It's not. But Joel, she genuinely didn't see this coming. She thought you'd just be there when she got back. Of course she did, I said. Why would she think otherwise? I always was before. After we hung up, I turned my phone to silent and went for a walk. Miles of walking through a city I didn't know, past buildings whose names meant nothing, through parks filled with strangers. It felt cleansing. The first week was adjustment. Learning the office, meeting the team, understanding the scope of the project I'd been brought in to manage. The work was challenging, consuming. I threw myself into it gratefully. Nights were harder. The apartment was too quiet. I'd catch myself setting 2 plates for dinner before remembering. I'd reach for my phone to text Christy about something mundane before stopping myself. But each day got easier. 3 weeks after I arrived, I changed my US phone number. Forwarded my work contacts to the new number, left the old one to die. Christy tried to reach me through TechBridge. I'd anticipated that. I'd left strict instructions with HR. No information to be released, no calls to be forwarded. Professional courtesy only. She tried through mutual friends. Christopher called me, awkward and uncertain. She's asking about you, he said. She seems pretty desperate, man. What did you tell her? That you're in Australia. That's all I know. That's all anyone needs to know. She says she needs to talk to you. About the house, about. She can talk to my attorney. That's what he's for. Christopher sighed. You've really cut her off completely. She told me I was temporary, I said. I'm just agreeing with her assessment. The divorce papers were filed in January. I signed them electronically, alone in my apartment on a Tuesday evening. Richard had made it clean, no-fault divorce, equitable distribution of assets, which meant she kept everything. No alimony, no child support obligations. I wanted nothing that would require ongoing contact. February brought a promotion. Managing Director of Asia-Pacific Operations. More responsibility, more money, more reasons to stay. I bought a car, joined a gym, made friends with colleagues who knew nothing about my past except that I was American and good at my job. I started dating in March. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and dinners with women who had no connection to my previous life. It felt strange at first, like putting on someone else's clothes. But gradually it started to feel normal. Then in April, my phone rang during lunch. International number. I almost didn't answer. It's me. Christy's voice came through, shaking and small. It's Christy. My heart rate spiked despite myself. How did you get this number? I told your company it was an emergency. They transferred me. I made a mental note to have a conversation with HR. What do you want? We're losing the house. Her voice cracked. Maya's struggling in school. You just disappeared without any warning, Joel. You left us with nothing. I felt a flicker of something, guilt, maybe, or old instinct to fix things. But I pushed it down. You told me exactly where I stood, I said calmly. I believed you. I was angry. I didn't mean it the way it came out. But you said it, and then you showed me you meant it by leaving for 3 weeks without a second thought. Please, she said, and I could hear tears now. Please come home. We can fix this. I looked out at the harbor, at the city I was learning to love, at the life I was building from scratch. I am home, and I'm not coming back. You abandoned us. Us, I said quietly, carefully. You made very sure I knew I was never really part of that. You said I was filling in. You said Maya needed her real father. You made me expendable, Christy. I'm just accepting the role you assigned me. She was crying fully now. I can't do this alone. The bills, the house, everything, I can't handle it. You're not alone, I said. You have Eric. You have Maya's real father. Isn't that what you wanted? That's not fair. Fair would have been treating me like I mattered before it became convenient. When are you coming back? I'm not coming back. Not next month. Not next year. Not ever. Silence stretched across the miles of cable and ocean. Did you ever love me? She asked finally, voice barely above a whisper. Yes, I said, and meant it. That's exactly why it took me 6 years to realize you didn't love me the same way. That's why I stayed longer than I should have. I ended the call, turned my phone off completely, put it in a drawer, went for a long walk along the river, letting the Australian sun warm my face, letting the foreign sounds and sights remind me I was somewhere new. Somewhere I'd chosen. A month later, on a sunny autumn afternoon in Melbourne, the divorce finalized. I was at Brighton Beach with colleagues from Nexus Digital when the notification came through on my phone. I looked at it briefly, divorce decree finalized, all terms accepted, then closed the screen. "You good?" my coworker Andrew asked, noticing the change in my expression. "Yeah," I said, and realized it was true. "I'm good." I joined my friends in the water, let the cold ocean shock away the last vestiges of a life that no longer fit, and when I emerged, dripping and laughing, I felt lighter than I had in years. I stopped checking my old email, stopped monitoring social media for traces of my former life. I deleted apps, changed passwords, severed digital connections. Nathan was my only link back, and even that was minimal. Monthly check-ins, brief conversations about his kids, my work, neutral territory. "She moved to Denver," he told me in May. "Closer to Eric's family." "Good for her," I said, and meant it without malice. I genuinely hoped she found whatever it was she'd been looking for. Maya's not doing great, apparently. Struggling with the move, with everything. That hurt more than I expected. I'd loved that kid, despite everything. But I also knew she wasn't mine. Never had been legally or apparently emotionally. Staying connected would only prolong pain for everyone. "That's tough," I said. "But it's not my place anymore." "No," Nathan agreed. "I guess it's not." By June, I'd bought an apartment. 2 bedrooms, rooftop terrace, walking distance to the office. I furnished it slowly, deliberately, choosing pieces that reflected who I was becoming rather than who I'd been. I dated a woman named Claire for 3 months. She was a lawyer, funny and sharp, with no interest in marriage or kids. We had fun. When it ended cleanly, no drama. We still got coffee occasionally. Work consumed me in the best way. I traveled throughout Asia Pacific, Singapore, Tokyo, Sydney, Bangkok, building teams, solving problems, creating systems that would outlast my tenure. I was good at it, better than I'd realized. At a company dinner in August, our CEO gave a toast thanking me specifically for the turnaround we'd achieved. Colleagues applauded. I felt proud in a way I hadn't in years. This was mine. I'd built this. No one could take credit for it. No one could diminish it. No one could tell me I was just filling in. December came around again. The anniversary of everything, the conversation, the decision, the departure. I spent Christmas Day at a colleague's house in the suburbs, surrounded by their extended family, eating seafood on the back patio in summer heat. Their kids played in an inflatable pool. Their grandparents told stories about Christmases past. "You have family back in the States?" someone asked. "A brother," I said. "We'll video call tomorrow." Must be hard, being so far away. I thought about it honestly. Sometimes. But this is where I'm supposed to be. And I believed it. That night, back in my apartment, I allowed myself to think about the previous year. Not with regret or anger, but with something closer to gratitude. That conversation in December, Christy's casual cruelty, Maya's dismissive comment, they'd been a gift, in a way. A moment of clarity that forced me to see what I'd been willfully ignoring. I'd spent 6 years trying to earn a place in a family that had already decided I was auxiliary. I'd sacrificed opportunities, compromised my own growth, contorted myself to fit a role that was never going to be permanent. And for what? To be told I was filling in. To be left alone for the holidays without a second thought. To be valued only in my absence. Leaving had been the healthiest thing I'd ever done. I poured myself a whiskey, stood on my balcony, and looked out at Melbourne's skyline. My city now. My life now. My choice. No more filling in. No more pretending temporary was permanent. No more living in the margins of someone else's story. Just a life that finally, completely belonged to me. I raised my glass to the southern stars, different constellations than I'd grown up with, fitting for a different life, and made a silent toast to the man I'd been and the man I was becoming. Then I went inside, closed the door on the past, and started planning for tomorrow. Because that's what you do when you finally stop being someone's understudy and start being the lead in your own story. You move forward, and you don't look back. Thank you for watching the video to the end. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. A playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to is now displayed on the screen. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.